All right, we are recording.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, this meeting is now called to order. Joe, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Moses,
Here.
Mr. Pinella. Here. Ms. Pasquarello.
Here.
Ms. Rankin.
Here.
Mr. Amabel. Here. Mr. Fontero. Mrs. Humphrey.
Here.
Mr. Lyles.
Here.
Mrs. Cleo.
Here. The board has a policy that permits residents and taxpayers who have signed up to speak before the board for 5 minute time. Please try to adhere to this policy. Also, please refer all questions to the chair and not to individual board members. We have no one signed up. Mike, do we have anybody on Zoom?
No.
Okay. Mrs. de Blasio will now give the superintendent's report.
Mrs. Cleo, before I begin, I'd like to make a statement.
Sure.
If that's permission.
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to begin by making a statement about the appointment of the new board member, and specifically what Pennsylvania School Code Section 1081 refers to in regards to me and my role as superintendent. I have communicated with Mrs. Cleo my commitment to work with any candidate that is chosen by this board. I also would like to remind the board this, so that everyone knows that some important information. When the PSBA workshop took place with Mr. Dustin D'Onofrio, when all board members were here on January 23rd, 2020, he stated that the district superintendent shall have a seat on the board of school directors of the district and the right to speak on all matters before the board, but not to vote. I understand my rule. No single board member, nor a minority of board members can and say to me, quote, forbid me to be present and provide input to the public in the public meeting. With this being said, I, de Blasio, as I was referred to, have had no input or proposed voting method or selection process of the replacement of the board member. I am commissioned superintendent by the state of Pennsylvania and a non-voting member of the board, and I will not allow my rule to minimize or exclude me in any manner. There are much more important matters that are in front of us today, and in these uncertain times, we have been under a lot of pressure in this district. My main priorities, as I have stated over and over and over again, is the health and safety of my students and staff, the nutritional needs of our staff, the social and emotional well-being of our students and staff, to continue to supporting our teachers so they may deliver a quality education during this virtual learning while continuing to be fiscally responsible. In my role as superintendent, I think I've proven that in the last 2.5 years. Finally, it was brought to my attention that certain board members recently inquired that I am an employee, so how can I be included on the selection of my boss? I'd like to clarify that, as I see and have talked to PSBA and an attorney. This is by saying that no one board member constitutes being quoted my boss, no one. To the board members who said this, I would caution you that such statements are unfounded and without merit. At this time, I think we need to get on to business. I'd like to acknowledge all the candidates who have applied and admire you for your interest in becoming a public servant during these unprecedented times. It's very difficult. Thank you. Okay. You want to continue the agenda?
Yeah, we can continue.
Okay, committee of the whole recommendation, filling of a board vacancy. Board action is necessary to accept the resignation of Steve Bonatero as a school board director of the Newcastle Area School District.
Norman, so moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Board action is necessary to declare a vacancy now exists on the board as a result of Mr. Fornatiro's resignation.
Move, Norman.
We do, so, well, wait, we're vacancy, so we have to have a motion.
Norman moved. You need a second.
Okay, second. Okay, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, now pursuant,
Well, Mrs. Fleur, I think
yeah, now
we
have
talked
more
very
discussion.
briefly, but the method by which we're going to go through this selection, maybe you can
Okay,
explain it
yeah.
to everybody, and then we can go from there.
I would like to explain the process that I came up with, just because we have done this in the past when we've had multiple applicants for teaching positions. So sometimes we've had, just for one teaching position, 20 applicants. So you have to narrow it down somehow, because it could be all over the board. If everybody has one person in mind, we could have 8 different nominations. So what we've done in the past is gone through, looked at all the names. If we have any discussion on anything, you know, it's free, everybody's free for a positive discussion. If anybody's gonna say anything in favor of anybody on here, please let it be positive, no negative, you know, because, you know, this is public. We don't want to be bashing anybody. Oh, they can't be on the board because of this and this. So if anybody wants to have any discussion and the reason why, you know, you would like to support that person, that's fine. I was thinking 2 or 3, Ms. Pascarella, because we've been through this with other selections with teaching. I don't know if I even said anything to you, Karen. But, you know, Anna suggested, you know what, maybe top 3, since there's so many, because maybe everybody's first pick, you know, we're in different directions, but maybe our second pick, or maybe our third pick, you know, we can all agree to, you know, that everybody could be comfortable with and have some kind of a common ground. That was the reasoning behind me picking this process. If you guys have any questions, what we'll do is we'll, you know, after we have a discussion, you could circle if you just feel comfortable with one person, you know, you could do up to 3. You know, it kind of, if you do 3, at least, you know, it's like you could live with, you know, having, you know, your second pick or your third pick on the board. Let me reiterate, it's for a 1.5 year position. So it's not like it's going to be a 4-year position. If they decide to run, they'll run. What else was I going to say? Oh, so after we tally, we can hand them to Chuck or Joey, because he's the board secretary. I think it's good that I don't have my hand in tallying. Mrs. de Blasio doesn't have her hand in tallying. Ms. Humphrey has her hand on in tallying. We'll give them to Chuck. He can tally. And then after you get your numbers, we'll give them to Joe to tally, just to make sure that there's like a second check. And Chuck, you could come up with who got the most votes, okay? And you know, we could just leave it at that. If you want to say this person was a close second, I didn't feel comfortable with saying, okay, this person got 0, this person got 0, because it's embarrassing. I don't want to embarrass anybody in the public who has applied, because listen, it's very, very hard. Every person, I mean, there's only a few on here that I don't know, but I would be happy with any of these people on the board. You know, it's going to be a hard decision on who to pick. So,
Madam Chairman,
yes,
Chairwoman, I will call mine into Chuck Sapienza, Attorney Sapienza, since I'm
Yeah.
remote.
that
Okay.
sounds good.
Thank you.
Mrs. Fleur, for the record, I did speak with Mr. Moses before the meeting about 10 to 8,
Yeah.
and he did give me his information.
Okay.
So I have that, and that'll be part of the tabulation.
Okay.
Correct, Mr. Moses?
Thanks both. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank,
Have a paper?
Yes,
format?
I do.
Okay.
I have it, and I indicated what his choices were.
Okay,
thank you so much.
okay, thank you, Norm. Does anybody have any questions or, I mean, this was just a process that I thought would be the easiest since we know so many people on here. And we've used this before. Yes,
Sorry.
Pat.
I just had a quick question. Yeah, so in order for them to be considered on this list, they had to send you an email?
So here's what happened.
Okay, I just
Again,
want to know
just
how.
to give you, originally, Mrs. Cleo had said, because she did not have an NCASD, she doesn't use a working NCASD. She asked them to send it to me. I got 4 names. One was hand delivered. Okay, as soon as I got the names, I looked at them, I forwarded it on to Dawn, and she stamped them in. Then in yesterday's or day before paper, whatever it was, they were sent to Dawn's office. To be honest with you, some of these names, because of the situation I just talked about, I just saw for the first time today because had I been so busy, I haven't really have not seen the name. So have I had a conversation? Only one person called me to let me know that they are applying. And I said, that's great.
Okay, yeah, I just wondered how
Yeah.
people knew
So,
what to do. So
Okay, so what happened was originally it was said that they come in and they were to come to me, so Mrs. Cleo. And I think, I'm almost positive it was sent to the board members. I was on that.
No, well, you know
I don't
what, I
know.
said, at least if everything was sent through the administrative office, there's a record that people did apply, because I don't want anybody saying, well, I told her that I wanted a position on the board,
I got
and,
you.
so, you know
My
what, like,
question
and
is
maybe
just
I
to know how
forget,
long.
you know, okay, yeah, that person did call, so I said, at least if they send in something to say their interest, at least we have a paper trail, so nobody can say, well, I didn't know. And then I knew Mrs. Walker, you know, Debbie Walker was gonna put it in the paper that anybody who wanted to apply, you know, who was interested could, you know, so it opened it up. You know, so, and then, that's it. So she asked me if she could send it to like my email. I don't want my personal email. So I said, just send it to the administrative office.
And we put Dawn's office.
And we put Dawn's office. So
Because she's
Dawn,
a confidential.
and I told Dawn,
Yeah,
put
yeah.
down list all the names so that everybody has a list of the names.
So Pat, just to tell you, like, I mean, just to let you know, there was just one gentleman that hand delivered, the rest were emailed, and I only received 3 emails from people, and the rest went to Dawn.
Mrs. DeBlasio,
Yes, sir.
I got the information I requested before I spoke with Chuck on all the applicants. And Stacy Fleo directed me to basically call Chuck, and he also Attorney Sapienza, and he also gave me the names also. So thank you.
You're welcome. I'm glad it worked.
Stacy. The only thing I want to say is I commend all the applicants, the interested parties, because I always say, you know, if you want to really get involved, you get involved. So it's nice that we have people that are interested, and I always follow that up with, you know, we only 1 out of the 12 is going to get chosen, and hopefully the others will continue to get involved and stay involved and possibly run in a year and a half and go from there. And you're right, we have a lot of challenges ahead of us. We are nowhere near getting through this first year, and that's just the classroom part. So we do have some big sensitive challenges coming our way. So this is going to be a key individual for this team here.
Now, I also commend everybody that did their application. And I think every person, it's a plus. It'll be a plus if whoever gets it. Anybody want to say anything? Okay. Well, I guess we can. Everybody has their things. We can try to circle them and hand them to Chuck. Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's that? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was telling you, you got one.
Oh, yeah.
So while we wait, may I talk about sports? Since
Yeah.
it was public?
Yeah.
I can tell you something. I sent out an alert now today, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I did it very heavily hearted. At least I knew when we were going to educate our children virtually, that the parents would be there to support them and do whatever they needed. I got phone calls today, and anyone that knows me and knows that I'm so family oriented, my daughter's 27, my son's 32, and if I miss something that they're doing, it breaks my heart. Today, I didn't make the decision. The PIAA and the governor's guidelines did, so I did send out a alert now saying that only the children will be attending. We only are allowed to have 250 in the stadium, including our team, our opponent's team, our band, our cheerleaders, our drill team, and our flag. We are at capacity of 250. It's breaking my heart. These parents are upset, they're hurt. We're trying to, to do whatever we can. I reached out to State Representative Sonata to see if we can do something for us. At this point, there's no spectators. So if you would get phone calls, please understand that it's not something that we as a district, and I know that many of you are out in the community, you're hearing the same things. It's not something we take pride that we're not able to bring them, but again, it's for the health and safety, and we're following the guidelines of the PIAA and the state. So I just wanted to let you know that, because alert now did go out to parents, and I am receiving quite a bit of emails. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, I just want just a general comment. I got approached by several people, as I'm sure anybody else did. I'm not asking if you did or not. And just like you're saying, it's such a difficult decision. But I think the thing that is hard for people to understand that aren't in our positions is that they think that, well, they're not in school, but we can play football. If that's, so we don't want them to go to school, but we're going to play football. And so it's hard for them to understand the analogy there, that what you can take away from here and what you can't take away there. And it's hard to not see your kids play. I don't have any kids playing, but and I'll be on the field because I'm going to be holding the chains. But I feel bad for the parents, and I wish that it could be different. But it's not something we didn't decide on. Like,
we didn't decide. If I could decide, I'd give everyone tickets. If we wanted graduation to happen, we made it happen. We weren't under those guidelines there.
and I think they said that.
The plan was to give 4 tickets to each
I had-
person, like on the field.
And they
not
just-
sell tickets.
They just commended us for that, for the graduation, how well that went. And they thought, wow, that was a good barometer to look at. And I agree, but it's a little bit different. But
It is different. We were not under the guidelines of PIAA at that time for the governor. We got platform, something that we're going to have to live with for this week. Hopefully, day by day, things change. And I'm praying that happens, but I had to make wanted to make a statement here because I know the board sentiments, because I've talked to some of you about sports. We are unhappy. It breaks my heart. As I said, I have 2 children. I will miss them at their ages if they're doing something. And it's very difficult, it's sad, but in the end, we have to follow guidelines and we have to worry about the health and safety of our students.
Mrs. Fleo, both Joe and I tabulated the results and we got the same numbers. How would you like me to proceed with regard to announcing the top vote getter, the top 2, the top 3? What do you want me to do?
That's good.
I'm fine with you announcing the top 3 vote getters.
Anybody else?
That's fine.
Do you want me to give you the numbers on the votes as well?
I'd like to hear the vote.
Okay. The top vote getter was Gary Schooly with 7 votes. There was a tie for second and third, Beth Barber with 4 votes, and Eric Francis with 4 votes.
Wow. It's, does everybody want to move forward with that the way, or?
Mrs. Fleo, I think now you want to refer back to the agenda, and we will need a formal nomination and vote.
Okay. Pursuant to section 3-315 of the Pennsylvania School Code, the remaining members of the board are required to appoint an eligible elector to serve as a board member of the Newcastle area school district.
Can we just nominate them?
So can I have a nomination?
I'd like to nominate Mr. Gary Schooly.
Second.
Okay. Do we do all in favor?
Any
Do we
other
have this-
nominations?
Any other nominations? Okay, do I have a motion to close nominations?
Second.
Vote on the
Right,
motion.
so we-
Vote on the motion to close. All in favor?
All in favor? All opposed? Okay, so do we,
Let's do a roll call vote for
Roll call.
Mr. Schooly.
okay,
Joe?
Okay. Mr. Moses? Mr. Pinella? You say the name. Ms. Pascarella?
Mr. Schooly.
Ms. Rankin?
Mr. Schooly.
Mr. Amabel?
Mr. Schooly.
Mrs. Humphrey?
Mr. Foley,
Mr. Lyles?
Mr. Schooly.
Mrs. Fleo?
Mr. Schooly,
And wait for Mr. Moses.
Asking him to unmute currently. Yeah, I can't. Give me 1 second.
He said he's on mute.
I'm asking him to unmute. Now he's off. There you go. Norm,
Yeah,
there we go.
Can you tell him to state by name, Chuck?
Mr. Moses? Mr. Moses?
Muted himself again.
all right. Am I in yet?
Yes.
Mr. Moses?
I abstain on the vote for Schooly.
Okay,
okay,
I think we did that. Yep.
Yeah, I have no information other than his name.
7-1.
Turns into a yes. An abstention turns into a yes at the end of the vote. Legally.
He's right.
So
Yeah, unanimous.
okay, all right. Okay,
Question to ask you. I abstain, correct?
Yes.
All right, the reason I want to give the reason, I have no background information on the individual. Please note that.
okay,
Thank you very much.
that's okay. Okay, so, the MOU professional staff, are we tabling that or are we going to? That's the next. Oh, wait, that's motion to pass it. Oh, no, she didn't ask. Okay, I'm sorry. We're like almost.
Okay, should I do board action as requested Chuck at this point
For what?
for the MOU? and then they can add whatever.
Yeah,
the
we
council-
we would need that, and then if there's a motion to table, the motion to table needs to come after you read it, and motion to table will either pass or fail. If it fails, then the motion on the floor to pass the MOU will then be voted on. Make sense?
Everyone,
Okay, so go ahead.
board actions necessary to approve the attached MOU between the Newcastle Federation of Teachers and the professional staff and the personal care assistants.
So moved.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
Abstain.
You abstain, okay. Okay, so, we have one abstention. So we'll have to do roll call on whether to pass it.
Mr. Moses,
Aye.
Yeah.
okay. Mr. Pinella,
Yes.
Ms. Pascarella,
Yes.
Ms. Rankin,
Yes.
Mr. Amabel,
Yes.
Mrs. Humphrey,
Yes.
Mr. Lyles,
Abstain.
Mrs. Cleo.
Yes. Okay. Mr. Ambrosini, do you have a business manager?
No.
No, okay. Is there any new business to be brought before the board? Yes.
Mr. Rankin, may I say, Ms. Leo, do you want me to hold on to these tally
Yeah.
sheets?
Yeah, that's,
I'll keep them in my office.
that's fine.
Okay, everybody's all right with that?